The 80s gave us neon leotards, VHS workout tapes, and slashers by the dozen.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul, too!
And somewhere in the middle of that shoulder-padded, perm-fried, Aquanet-stiffened Venn diagram lives a little movie called Killer Workout. Killer Workout, sometimes referred to as Aerobicide, was released in 1987, right in the middle of the slasher craze that followed the success of movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th. And at that point, pretty much anything, no matter how absurd, could get greenlit if it had blood, boobs, and a body count. And so, of course, the poster for this movie has a massive pair of knockers front and center, because how else are you going to get people to watch? The film was written and directed by David A. Pryor, I hardly know her, and released directly to video with pretty unimpressed reviews. It seemed to fade into obscurity alongside countless other trashy horror movies at the time. But I love a terrible campy horror film, and I refuse to let them all wither away in cinematic purgatory, where forgotten movies wander aimlessly, trapped in scratched DVDs and dusty VHS tapes, waiting for someone, anyone, to speak their name again and breathe them back to life.
Hear my voice and live again!
The opening credits kick in with a track that goes way too hard for this movie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
A woman named Valerie gets a message from a friend on her answering machine.
You're not going to believe this, but I finally got a date with that guy from the lighthouse. You know, the one with the incredible bulge in his pants? I can't believe it.
Pardon?
You know, the one with the incredible bulge in his pants?
I don't know why this line caught me off guard so much, but after this, I definitely knew I was in for a great time. The next message tells her that she landed a modelling job in Paris for the cover of Cosmopolitan, and to make sure her tan was good for the shoot, she immediately runs to the tanning salon, full of excitement, which is unfortunately cut short when, in a Final Destination 3-esque scene, the tanning bed malfunctions and she is cooked seemingly to death. We also see the tanning bed on the poster for the movie. I was honestly shocked by the scene. I always thought Final Destination 3 did it first, so now I'm wondering if they were inspired by this movie that came out almost 2 decades earlier. 5 years later, we're at Rhonda's workout, where we see Rhonda leading an aerobics/dance fitness class, of course, complete with a bunch of close-up shots of the women's chests. After the class, Rhonda is asked out by a guy called Jimmy, and the way he reacts to rejection instantly paints him as a prime suspect.
Look, not tonight, not tomorrow night, not any night. How many times do I have to say that?
I mean, could they make that any more menacing? A lady called Jamie arrives, and Rhonda scolds her for being late as she was supposed to be leading the class we just saw. As all the other attendees leave the building, we see one of the women, Rachel, still showering in the locker room, when suddenly the lights turn off. The shower door swings open and she is attacked with a comically large safety pin. And I don't know if safety pins this big are actually a thing, but this just seems ridiculous. I've never seen a character killed by one before. The scene is very reminiscent of 1960s Psycho. Jamie is then spooked by a fake arm in a locker. Apparently this killer has a sense of humour, and immediately after, Rachel's body falls out of another locker. The detective assigned to the case, Lieutenant Morgan, questions Jamie and Rhonda.
She was so pretty.
Not anymore.
What a strange thing to say. He asks them about a woman named Diane, since Rachel's body was found in her locker along with a knitting needle covered in blood. This raises suspicion in Lieutenant Morgan. The next day, we meet Chuck Dawson, played by Ted Pryor, brother of the director David A. Pryor. He claims he's been hired to work at the fitness club. He ends up getting in a fight with Jimmy, who likes Rhonda and doesn't want Chuck making a move on her, and they fight like Street Fighter characters. All that's missing is a health bar at the top of the screen.
You just made a mistake.
You win! Perfect!
A woman named Debbie, impressed by Chuck, invites him over to her house. She tells blonde Tom Cruise that she used to date Jimmy and that she thought he was strange.
The guy is weird. I mean, he likes to tie girls up and do weird things. You know, I mean, it's cool to get kinky sometimes, but the guy's just plain weird.
This is clearly meant to make us think Jimmy could be another potential suspect in Rachel's case. And I'd just like to add that I felt like I was being tortured by the song in the background of this scene. It was basically the same lyrics. She's a knockout, let her rock out. over and over for like 4 minutes. It felt like it just kept getting higher and higher until I thought my nose was gonna bleed. It felt like one of those high-frequency ultrasonic sounds used to deter teenagers from loitering. Anyway, later on we see Diane walking home from the fitness club as she's followed by a car. Lieutenant Morgan is also outside her house as she is still one of his suspects. As he's knocking on the door, Diane is stabbed with the giant safety pin by the killer, proving she's not the culprit. And as the detective bursts inside, the killer immediately jumps through the window, like that one woman in Bird Box, and runs away.
Just got the report on the knitting needle belonging to Diane Matthews. It was not the murder weapon. I repeat, it was not the murder weapon.
Oh shit.
Back at the fitness club, Rhonda is spooked by Jimmy, who tells her,
"Just relax, I'm not some kind of crazy killer."
Which sounds exactly like something a killer would say. A few teenagers graffiti the fitness club, writing Aerobicide and Death Spa on the window. I don't know if it's a coincidence or some sort of promo for the movie Death Spa, which came out 2 years later in 1989, which is also a ridiculous movie, and maybe I'll make a video about it one day. Unfortunately, their fun is cut short when the killer catches and kills them all too. Back at the fitness club, a man on the weight machine falls to the floor after someone loosens it, and then he's promptly smacked over the head with a weight. Another patron finds him bleeding on the floor and is unicorned by the safety pin. Jamie screams as she sees a guy called Tommy by the two bodies, and Chuck is quick to knock him out, thinking he committed the act. Lieutenant Morgan is very suspicious of Chuck, since he took down Tommy like a pro, and because the killings started right around the time Chuck began working there. In the locker room, Jamie goes up to Tommy and exposes herself to this clearly concussed man climbing on top of him. Then behind her, his doppelganger shows up and slices her throat before strangling him. But then Lieutenant Morgan wakes him up and it turns out to be a dream after Tommy was knocked out. Right. I don't know what the point of this was. But immediately after, Tommy is also taken out by the safety pin of doom, eliminating him as a suspect. Okay. I felt like I was going insane by this point, so I'd like to go over what exactly has happened in the last few days so you can see my frustration. 8 people that we know of have died so far. 1 in the shower, 3 teenagers outside of the club, and another 4 who regularly attend the club, 3 of which happened inside the building on the same day while staff, members, and eventually police were all inside. And literally no one seems to care.
Happened right here last night. Cut her up in little pieces and stuffed her in a locker.
Did he screw her first?
It seems more of a minor inconvenience than anything. No one has ever bothered enough to stop their workout or leave, and not once has anyone thought to shut the place down to be investigated. This fitness club is continuously the centre of criminal activity. A serial killer is actively gallivanting around the place, and no one cares. I know this is a stupid movie, and the incompetent police trope is a thing, but my goodness, you might as well just go home. I mean, seconds after Lieutenant Morgan left the locker room, poor Tommy was assassinated by arts and crafts, butchered with a sewing accessory, executed by haberdashery. Like, why is everyone so nonchalant about all of this? I'm so confused. Moving on. Jimmy is once again being a little creep to Rhonda, and later Chuck sneaks into Jimmy's house and discovers many pictures of Rhonda and a bunch of guns, furthering the suspicion that Jimmy could be the killer. Jimmy and Chuck get into another fight. At this point, they're like Daniel Cleaver and Mark Darcy, rolling around in the street. Buff, blonde Tom Cruise wakes up in Rhonda's house after the fight and is confronted by Lieutenant Morgan, who reveals that Chuck is actually a private investigator. He'd been hired by Mr. Erickson, Rhonda's senior partner at the fitness club, to find the killer. Chuck tells him about what he found at Jimmy's house and insists the lieutenant make sure he gets Jimmy. Finally, over halfway into the movie and 8 people dead, a woman named Kathy, who regularly attends the fitness club, becomes the only person with any sense. She's clearing out her locker to leave while she's still in one piece. She goes to say goodbye to Jamie, but finds her hanged and dead. Later, both of the women are found by an officer whose literal job was to stay in the building to make sure this exact thing didn't happen.
Check in every hour. You got it, Lieutenant.
But whatever. The next day, everyone else continues to dance, because why wouldn't you? All your friends are dying around you. Who cares? I certainly don't anymore. Outside, we see Jimmy running over Chuck with his car. is not funny. Then Jimmy gets out of the car and stabs buff blonde Tom Cruise with an ice pick. Oh no! Has Jimmy the Creep really been the killer this whole time? In the next scene, we watch as Rhonda puts a wig over her scarred, bald head as suspenseful music plays in the background. But she might not be the killer, she could just have alopecia, that doesn't make her a villain. But then Lieutenant Morgan comes to confront her. She admits her name used to be Valerie until she legally changed it to Rhonda. Detective Morgan tells her that he was once convinced Jimmy was the killer, but the pieces just weren't fitting. He says all the victims were part of the fitness club, all attractive and in good shape. Just as one Valerie Johnson once was, until 75% of her body was burned in a tanning bed accident 5 years ago. He claims she must be killing out of jealousy because she used to be a beautiful model with great job opportunities until she was injured. Rhonda denies these accusations, but Detective Morgan doubles down and says some really hurtful things.
I think it eats you up inside to look at all those young, beautiful bodies. Knowing that you have to spend a lifetime hiding yours. Knowing that any man would get sick if he tried to make love to you.
He arrests her, but immediately gets word that Jimmy was seen killing Chuck, so reluctantly he lets her go. Lieutenant Morgan finds Jimmy and tries to get him to admit that all the murders were really Rhonda's doing, and that Jimmy was just trying to take the fall for her. After Jimmy knocks the detective out, he goes to see Rhonda and gets shot by her after he freezes upon seeing her scarred body. Before she finishes him off, he admits he killed blonde Tom Cruise because
I love you. I couldn't let them catch you.
Which, Rhonda, you've got someone clearly off his rocker willing to frame himself for you. Don't kill him, use him. But I guess it doesn't matter because Rhonda goes free, everyone believes Jimmy was the killer, and she is hailed as a hero. But later on, Detective Morgan drives Rhonda to the woods, already sketchy, and tells her about his police officer father who, years ago, was frustrated by a miscarriage of justice and took taking down a serial killer into his own hands.
About 25 years ago, there was about 10 killings in 2 weeks. My father knew who it was, and he caught him. But the courts let him go on a technicality, and the killing started all over again. A few weeks later, the man disappeared. My father never talked about it. I knew what he did. I knew what happened.
He pulls out a gun, saying he too would be crossing that line, since he still believes Rhonda was the true killer. But as he's distracted by his Batman vigilante speech, Rhonda hits him over the head with a shovel, ending his life and cutting the last loose thread. In the last scene, everyone at Rhonda's workout praises her as a hero, and when she's alone in her office, she holds her giant safety pin, laughing evilly at the camera, and gets away with everything. Look, Killer Workout or Aerobicide is far from a masterpiece. The plot is frustrating at times, and the big reveal basically boils down to she's a burn victim, so of course she's a crazy maniac. You probably couldn't make this movie today, at least not like this, but honestly, that's exactly why I love it. It's campy, it's trashy, and it is so incredibly 80s. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.